There is a tiny island off the coast of Italy where men routinely live past 100. Not women, men, which is strange, because everywhere else on Earth, women outlive men by an average of 5 years. So scientists went there. They spent decades studying these men, and what they found had almost nothing to do with what we've been told about living a long life. No extreme diets, no 5 a.m. workouts, no biohacking, something else entirely. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it was, and whether you're already doing it without realizing. The 5 places on Earth with the highest concentration of people over 100 are called blue zones. The term was coined by researcher Dan Bettner after he partnered with National Geographic and a team of demographers to figure out what these communities had in common. And here's what made this research different from every other longevity study you've probably heard of. They didn't study sick people and try to reverse engineer health. They studied the healthiest people on the planet and asked, "What are you doing right?" The answers were surprising, sometimes uncomfortable, and in a couple of cases, they directly contradict mainstream health advice. I'll walk you through the 5 most consistent habits these centenarians shared. But I'm also going to tell you about the one thing nearly all of them never did. Something most of us do every single day without thinking. That one's coming at number 4. Don't skip ahead. Habit number 1, they never exercised. At least, not the way we think of exercise. Not a single Blue Zone community is built around gyms, fitness classes, or structured workout routines. What they have instead is movement that is simply built into their day. The Sardinian shepherds walk up to 5 miles a day, not on a treadmill, but following sheep across hilly terrain. Okinawan women squat to the ground dozens of times daily because their homes have low furniture and they eat sitting on floor mats. The Nicoyans in Costa Rica do hard physical labor into their late 80s, farming, hauling, building. The research term for this is NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, the calories and metabolic benefits you get from just moving through a real life. The takeaway here isn't stop exercising. It's that consistent low-intensity movement woven through your entire day may be more protective than a hard 45-minute gym session followed by 8 hours of sitting. Okinawans have a phrase they say before every meal, harahachi-bu. It translates to, eat until you are 80% full. This is not a diet. There are no rules about what to eat or what to avoid. It's purely about stopping before you feel full, because there is a roughly 20-minute delay between your stomach being full and your brain receiving that signal. By the time you feel full, you've almost always overeaten. The centenarians in Okinawa who practice this consistently consume around 1,800 calories a day on average. Researchers estimate that practice alone is responsible for a significant portion of their reduced rates of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Not what they eat. How much? In Okinawa, there is no word for retirement. What they have instead is a concept called ikigai, your reason for getting up in the morning. For some centenarians, it's their garden. For others, it's their grandchildren. For others, it's a craft they've been practicing for 70 years. A 2014 study published in Psychological Science followed over 9,000 people and found that those with a strong sense of purpose were significantly less likely to die during the study period, regardless of age, health status, or income. Purpose isn't a philosophy. It functions biologically. It reduces cortisol. It keeps you cognitively engaged. It literally extends your life. The Sardinian men we talked about at the very start. Their longevity secret, the one that baffled researchers, was almost entirely social and purposeful. They were deeply embedded in community. They were needed. They mattered to people around them every single day. Here it is, the habit they don't have. Chronic stress, not occasional stress. Every human experiences that. Chronic, low-level, unrelieved stress. The kind most people in modern society carry around so constantly that they've stopped noticing it. Blue Zone communities have built-in stress relief rituals that are non-negotiable parts of their day. Icarian Greeks take afternoon naps, not optional, daily. Adventists in Loma Linda, California, observe the Sabbath, a full 24 hours of no work, no news, no obligations, every single week. Sardinian men gather every afternoon for what they call the hour of peace. Drinks, conversation, laughter. A 2012 study in the European Heart Journal found that people who took regular afternoon naps had a 37% lower risk of dying from heart disease. 37%. Not from a drug, not from surgery, from rest. The modern world treats rest as laziness. Centenarians treat it as survival. The final habit is perhaps the most uncomfortable one for people who value independence. Centenarians are almost never socially isolated. A meta-analysis by Brigham Young University researchers covering 148 studies and over 300,000 participants found that social isolation carries a mortality risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15 cigarettes. The people who live to 100 are embedded in tight communities. They have defined social roles. They are checked on. They check on others. In Okinawa, there is a social structure called a moai, a group of 5 people committed to each other for life. They meet regularly, support each other financially in hard times, and simply show up for each other. Many of the women in these groups are in their 90s and have been meeting for over 70 years. That is not a social network. That is oxygen. So, no extreme protocols, no expensive supplements, no secrets hidden in a lab somewhere. Movement baked into your day, eating with intention, a reason to get up, deliberate rest, and people around you who genuinely care whether you showed up today. The science of longevity keeps getting louder, and it keeps pointing at the same quiet things. The question isn't whether these habits work. The research is settled on that. The question is, which one you're willing to start with. If you found this useful, there's a video next on what the longest-lived people in the world actually eat day to day. Not the romanticized version, the real one. It might change a few things you thought you knew.